I'm Will Noonan, and you're listening to Tom Clark's Main Event.
This is Daddy Show. Step off.
Hey, what is up? Welcome to the program. Thank you for tuning in. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tom Clark, and you are listening to Tom Clark's Main Event. This is episode number 22 of the podcast, and for those of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome aboard. Glad you are here. For those of you who are coming back for a repeat visit, hey, welcome back, man. Glad to have all of you here with us. As always, we will extend to each and every one of you the customary laurel and a hearty handshake. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being there with us and for us since day one, for supporting yours truly and all of his pro wrestling endeavors online as a featured columnist for Bleacher Report, also for the highly esteemed Camel Clutch blog, and of course, on his own blog on tomclarkbr.wix.com/blog. That's right, folks. I'm now talking about myself in the third person. That's how far the obsession has come. I'm pretty well self-absorbed at this point. I have pictures on my walls of myself. The narcissism just never ends. Neither does the hypocrisy. So, what are you going to do? As we said, folks, this is episode number 22, and we're coming to you as always from the very lovely and spacious Boink Studios here in the great state of North Carolina. And we've got a good one here for you, I believe, this time around, folks, because this time the main event is the uncertainties surrounding Battleground. That's probably not going to be the title. It's probably going to be Battleground's Uncertainty. I said it was going to be a good podcast. I had said nothing about the title being very stellar. Maybe I'll have this thing figured out by the time I publish it. Who knows? For WWE fans out there who are paying attention, you well know by now that Battleground is the next event to take place. It will happen on Sunday, July 19th, 2015, the year of our Lord, and features some pretty good matches thus far. But as with any card that WWE has put out in the past, there's some serious questions. There's some uncertainty surrounding who could go over and who may do the honors on that particular night. And let's just go ahead and delve into the card as we know it. Depending upon when you listen to this particular episode, things may have changed by the time you get to it. Who knows, folks? Cards in that company anymore are an ever-evolving thing. They're like a live document, like a constitution or something. A card's never really set in stone. Sometimes you'll go into the week before the pay-per-view is set to hit the air with 4 matches announced, and then by the time Sunday gets here, you've got 6 matches or 7 matches because the company just tends to throw guys on at the very last minute. Don't know if that'll happen this time. But we've got a good number of matches already set right now. And again, depending upon when you listen to this, things may have changed by that point. But let's go ahead and run them down, shall we? Yes, we shall. We have WWE Tag Team Champions, the Primetime Players, versus the New Day. Now, this should be entertaining because both teams are very good at number one, making you smile. Number two, at making you cheer. I mean, they're really good. They work well together. There's a lot of personality in this match. The New Day has really come from behind and really shocked a lot of people, myself included. I knew what the 3 guys were capable of. Okay, I knew what Kofi was capable of. I don't know if anyone knew how funny Big E could be and how entertaining Xavier Woods could be. Man, that dude has really come into his own, for sure. And as a unit, they work tremendously well together. They're like the anti-Freebirds. You know what I mean? Like they're a unit and they're a family, but they're just really corny and just really goofy all around and very funny. But sans the stars and bars, they are sort of the anti-fabulous Freebirds. But again, a very entertaining trio from top to bottom. Then on the other hand, you have, of course, the primetime players. No Days Off, Darren Young, and Titus O'Neil. I'm not going to do the bark. Don't ask me to do the bark. I'm not going to do it. Don't even ask me. But they are your reigning, defending WWE Tag Team Champions. The reason there's uncertainty surrounding this match for me is because the primetime players deserve the titles. Okay, they were a good team before they disappeared and went their own separate ways. They're a good team now that they're back together, and in fact, they're really a better team now that they're back together, to be honest with you. And they deserve a title run. They deserve to keep the championships. On the other hand, however, the New Day with the belts are definitely more, maybe you could say, heat seekers than they were before. A lot more spotlight on them. But do they really need the belts? That's the question I pose to you right now. I don't think that they do. I think they're just as effective without the championship belts as they are with them. But to me, there's some serious questions surrounding this, because why not put the belts back on New Day, if only to keep the primetime players going in the right direction, to keep fan interest high on them, and to show that, yes, they do have what it takes, that they can be top of the food chain and everything that goes along with it. I think this match could go either way. I don't have a clear-cut prediction really for a lot of these matches because, again, there's just so many different questions surrounding each match. There's maybe 2 matches on the card that I feel pretty well confident in predicting a winner. This one's really not one of them. I think this match could go either way, and I'd be happy. I think probably everyone would because, again, either team is very entertaining. Either team can go out there and get it done and make it look good doing it. And honestly, I'm good either way. So if I had to throw a guess out there, I would say that the primetime players retain. But I would not be surprised if the New Day goes over, gets the belts back, and this thing goes to another match and primetime players gets the belts back. I think there's enough fuel here and enough background, enough meat to work with between these 2 teams that you could change the titles maybe 3 or 4 times. I'm being totally straight up with you about that. I don't mean show by show by show, of course, but spread it out among the next 2-3 months and see where we end up at the end of that. Because you don't want to make the titles to the point where they're irrelevant and they're just sort of trophies just being thrown about from one team to the next. You want to make them mean something and make the title wins and losses actually count for something. But again, either team going over in this one would be perfectly fine with me, although I do think primetime players comes out in the end of this match with the victory. All right, folks, moving on. We are moving to the Intercontinental Championship. The big guy, Ryback. Was that good? I'm out of breath after doing that. I'm blowed up already. Ryback's got better cardio than I do at this point. Ryback versus Big Show versus The Miz, which is a match that yours truly called on a column for Bleacher Report a couple of weeks ago now, I think it was, where I threw some Battleground predictions out there for you about matches that we could potentially see. This was one of the ones I predicted, actually, and now it's come to pass. The Intercontinental Champion Ryback will defend his title against both the Big Show and The Miz in a triple threat match. And, of course, triple threat rules state that you do not have to be pinned to lose your title. Whoever gets the pinfall wins the championship belt, which is the way it should work. They love to throw that stat at you and that fact all the time, but honestly, that's how it should work in the first place. This may be the only match on the card that I feel very confident, fairly comfortable telling you right up front, I think Ryback's going to go over. I see the champion retaining the championship belt in this match. I would be shocked if Big Show won. I would be equally shocked if Miz won. This is Ryback's time. Now, we're not talking Goldberg winning the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. We're not talking about Stone Cold Steve Austin blowing up during the Attitude Era. Let's keep it in perspective, folks. But let's say that, yes, this is definitely Ryback's time. He's paid his dues. He's put the hard work in. Despite any criticism leveled at him from CM Punk when he left the company, whether it's deserved or not deserved, who knows. And no matter what anyone has said about Ryback in terms of the comparisons to Goldberg and all that nonsense that goes along with it, all the ridiculous chants and all that junk that you just have to deal with all the time with this situation, he's had to endure all of that. He kept his mouth shut, kept his head up. Every time he was questioned, he answered very politically. Has there been a better guy in terms of keeping your composure and keeping your wits about you than Ryback for that company? They've got some good stand-up guys, but I'm saying as a whole, who better that's been under such incredible fire as one guy has? Who better that's kept his mouth shut and just kept his head down and kept working hard than Ryback? I mean, this is his time, and I think to take the belt off him at this point would be very premature, would be a really bad move. Would WWE do it? You better believe it, because that company is notorious for making title changes and making moves that just don't make any sense, man. So anything's possible, but I would be very surprised, I'd be very shocked if Ryback lost the belt in this championship match. I do think this is his match to win and his belt to keep, at least for the foreseeable future. The great thing about the mid-level championships in that company, there's a lot of guys that can compete for them. Maybe not as many for the main championship belt, the top belt, but there's a lot of guys that can compete for the mid-card. Hence the value, historically, of mid-card championships. Intercontinental, United States, back in the day, in the NWA, it was the National Heavyweight Championship. The Western States title, remember that belt? The Mid-Atlantic Championship, of course, which was more of a trophy than any of those belts, really, at the time, considering the era and the region of Jim Crockett Promotions that it reigned over. And also, of course, the World's Television title. Each belt was a great mid-card championship belt, with the exception of the Mid-Atlantic title, of course. And again, it really is to this day in that company. You've got the United States and the Intercontinental titles, both great mid-level championships. And when you have belts of that nature, it's very easy to up the value, because all you need is just a couple of guys who are just willing to go into the ring and work their hides off to get it, and put in the sweat equity it takes to impress a crowd and to actually gain something of value, which in this case would be the Intercontinental Championship. So Ryback's got some good challengers out there, got some good heels to work against. Ryback needs good, strong heels to work against. He needs guys that can play to his skill set, guys that can play to his personality, so Ryback can keep himself going, keep himself motivated, and the crowd can stay behind him. Because if you put it to you this way, you can't put Ryback against too many rock-solid, technicians for too long of a period of time, unless those technicians are willing to take the bumps, are willing to take a little bit of, maybe have a half step back to make Ryback look good. Because really, if you're being honest about it, no disrespect to Ryback, but his skill set is not what Daniel Bryan's is, okay? It's not what CM Punk's was. Ryback is a different sort of performer with a different sort of skill set, and if you want him to succeed and you really want him to be in the spotlight, take advantage of it, and really get over the way that you want him to, then that skill set needs to be played to by whoever he works, okay? That's really the most important part. And there's some guys out there that can make him look good. Miz is one of the ones that can. Big Show, I think, can in terms of just by sheer brute strength. I mean, Ryback picks Big Show up and drops him on his back. I mean, holy God. I mean, even though we've seen Show leave his feet more often than we ever probably needed to, which was, 1,000 times at this point in this guy's career, if it happened one time, it was too many, honestly. Because when you do it too much, it takes away from the value of the pop. It takes away from the oh my God moment that you're seeing before you. Show's not left his feet in a very long time. So on Raw, a few weeks back when Ryback picked him up and gave him the sort of abbreviated shell shock there, carried him as long as he could, that was a big deal because you hadn't seen Show leave his feet in a while. Every time he works Cena, Cena's got him on his shoulders, but that's sort of how it goes with the top guy, and it's okay, and that's just how it is. But again, folks, the bottom line for me in this match is I see Ryback retain the title. I see it being all good for the big guy, and I think he will keep the gold when this is all said and done. Moving on, I told you we got some big ones to get to, folks. We're already to the meat of the card. No disrespect to the two matches that we just talked about, but we're getting into the real heavy hitters of the company and especially of Battleground. Let's get right into this. Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt. I recently published a piece for Bleacher Report, which you can find as of July 3rd. And it's I'm a little hazy as to the title, even though I just actually completed this thing not too long ago. But it's something to the effect of the feud between Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt should last past Battleground. There has been a mentality when it comes to Bray recently of one and done, one and done, one and done. We saw it with Taker, we saw it with Ryback, and honestly, it's just too much. Taker, I can understand. Ryback, not so much. This should not be one and done between Bray and Roman. It's a bad idea. Roman has a lot to gain, has a lot to benefit from working Bray. He can learn a lot in terms of psychology, get himself over and be put over at the same time. He can be very captivating. Bray can when the situation arises. Actually, Bray just showing up and looking into the camera is pretty captivating, if you ask me. The guy's turned on all the time. I compare that sort of personality, I would think, to a Jim Carrey or to a Robin Williams in terms of there's no off switch. What you see in the movie is what the guy is all the time. And to me, that's Bray. He's turned on all the time. And he's just ready. He's just ready to go. All you gotta do is say, there's the curtain, go. And Bray's ready. There's no real prep work for him to do. He's already in character. So there's a lot there to work with for Roman, because suddenly Roman has went from the position of the probable heir apparent to John Cena in the top spot in WWE to suddenly becoming the guy on the defense. He is the guy in the background, the one who has become very vulnerable, the one whose family is being attacked on television. Bray stalking Roman's daughter. And a bit of creepiness that maybe I will never forget is Bray on live television with a photo of Roman and his daughter singing I'm a Little Teapot. That's some good TV, man. I don't care who you are, okay? That's some good quality stuff right there. That's some good stuff, because that feeds directly into who Bray is as a character. It feeds into the idea that Bray will do anything it takes to get into your head. I would love to see a guy, and maybe Dean was the closest one to this idea. I would love to see a guy in that company at some point come out and say, you can't get in my head. Nope, not going to happen. I'm so-and-so, I'm Dean Ambrose, I'm whoever. I'm impenetrable, baby. I'm an oak, okay? Dean may have been the closest one I could imagine saying that to to Bray. And did it work? Absolutely not. Bray got in his head, because this is what Bray does. And when you make it more of a challenge for his character, then Bray accepts it and he goes even deeper, which is what he did by bringing Roman's daughter into the equation. Some very interesting stuff. I think there's enough material to work here between these guys, to work with, I should say, between these guys. This feud could last maybe 4 matches total. I'm being dead serious about that. And 1 or 2 of the matches can happen on Monday Night Raw. That's perfectly fine. But I'd like to say at least 2 to 3 of the matches happen on pay-per-view or on WWE Network. That, to me, is the best part of this thing. Is, again, there's a lot to work with. These 2 guys will work well with each other. I think this match has the potential to do really well at Battleground, because while we've heard Bray go on and on and on about, anyone but you, we've heard very little in terms of compare contrast with what Bray has said, with the promos that Bray has cut toward Roman. Heard very little in comparison from Roman himself. So he's fired back somewhat, but not as much as you might think. So a lot of the talking for Roman is going to be done in the ring, as it should be. Roman doesn't need the mic in his hand to cut 20-minute long promos where he's smiling like John Cena. Wrote that column recently too, as a matter of fact, that the John Cena prototype should not be followed with WWE's Next Top Guy. Also, you can find on Bleacher Report. Thank you very much. I mean, come on, folks. We do have to pay the bills here. That's what we're talking about here, folks, with Roman versus Bray. There's some good stuff to work with. Okay, you have the connection between the 2 guys as the 2 former leaders of the Shield and the Wyatt family. So leader, de facto leader, I guess you could call Roman, because there's not really a head of that group at that time. But the guy that sort of stood out among the other 2 at the time anyway, between Ambrose and Rollins. But so you've got that history between those 2 guys. You've got the connections there of guys who are striving to be in the world title picture onto the main event scene, and guys who are just trying to entertain. Bray is, again, as we said, turned on all the time. The dude doesn't have an off switch. Roman has the on switch, and sometimes he's attempting to find it or we're being led to believe he doesn't have it by a lot of his critics and haters that just can't stand the guy. But the best part for me for Roman Reigns at this point is that Roman can take a step back. He can exhale, he can breathe, he can just have fun facing Bray and just have a blast at this. No championship pursuit to worry about, no Seth Rollins to worry about, no Money in the Bank briefcase hanging like an albatross around his neck to worry about. People are going to hate him no matter what, but in my opinion, this gives Roman more of a chance to breathe, to grow, to evolve, to mature as a performer. Gives him more of a chance to go out there and just have fun. No pressure, man. No pressure. The title belt's always going to be there. The option's always going to be there, which the company will take at some point. Maybe even WrestleMania 32, who knows? But right now, just let Roman have fun. Just let him get over, which I think he's doing pretty well right now versus Bray Wyatt. Back to the question of uncertainty. Who you got, Tom? Great question. Glad you asked. I don't know. Because Roman is not going to lose. Because Roman doesn't lose that many matches, okay? If you believe that the company believes in him as the next future top guy, the next heir apparent to John Cena, you have to believe he's not going to lose to Bray. By the same token, Bray doesn't lose a lot of matches himself either these days. So how do you have Bray lose in this situation? Okay. The question then becomes, what if it ends in a DQ? What if it ends in a count out, which it could, ends in a pull apart, double disqualification, whatever the case may be? I'm for that. I think that Roman's character is going to come out with a lot of aggression, come out with a lot of hate, a lot of anger, a lot of rage, which feeds straight into what Bray Wyatt's trying to get from him to begin with. He's trying to elicit that response, and by giving it to him, it puts Bray in the driver's seat. I think we all know the deal here and the dichotomy between the two different characters that we're watching on our TVs every week, folks. But Roman, I think, is going to look good because he has a history of looking good. Whether you sit there and say the company's making him look good, or but because he is working very hard to get over, which I think, honestly, it's a combination of the two. But I think that Roman's going to look good in this match, and Bray always looks good despite who he's working. And, of course, Bray has the great ring psychology. He has all the intangibles it takes to be a megastar in the business. There are moments when it feels like the company's on board with that, and moments when it feels like maybe they're not too sure of it to begin with. But with Roman, I've always had the feeling, I've always had the idea in the back of my head. I might have been one of the first guys online, especially in our line of work as pro wrestling analysts. I may have been one of the first guys to go public and say I believe he's the next top guy. And it was just sort of whispers I had heard among different guys at the time, among different people that I had known and maybe read their stuff. And sort of the idea put forth, but then it was quickly followed by, well, it's too early to tell. He's this, he's that. So I said, let me take a look at him. So I went back and I watched some matches with the Shield. I sort of reevaluated where I stood. And honestly, I was of the opinion, you know what, I'm seeing something. And I think we all saw it when he really matured in the Shield. And they sort of kind of put him out front there and said, okay, you take the lead. I think that we saw a lot with Roman then. The potential he has to get over, the potential he has to really beat somebody big and important. I think that it's definitely there. Again, uncertainty surrounding this match. Who you got? Which one do you think? To me, for my money, I think this thing ends in a double DQ or ends up in Roman getting disqualified or ends up in a double count out, honestly. Because I don't see Bray getting disqualified. I think Roman's going to come out of him like a house o' fire, as we say, and he's going to get himself disqualified. And you know what? I'm fine with that. This needs to go at least 3 matches. I'm going to call it now. Trio of matches, man. That's what I expect from these two guys. I think they're going to tear the house down every time they touch each other. I think Roman's going to look great. I think Bray's going to do what Bray does and look good and be entertained the entire time he's in the ring because that's who he is. That's what he does. And really, I think we're in for a good match here. And again, if it were me, I'd book a trio of matches. I hope that's being discussed. I think it needs it. Okay, folks, interesting segue because we are churning right along on the main event this time, people. Got a lot to get to, right? But nice segue there because the next match we have to talk about is the 3rd chapter. Folks, you're going to have to forgive me. I'm losing my voice here right now. There's no sickness happening, which is shocking because honestly, yours truly tends to stay sick quite a bit other times sometimes. But honestly, I'm just losing my voice because I'm just excited for this program. I'm excited to bring you the passion of my love for the business of professional wrestling. And if you're believing any of this stuff, congratulations. Oh, stop, man. I do have passion for the business. We all know this. Anyone that knows me can testify to that. But honestly, I think I'm just losing my voice for no good reason at all. The good part for me is we've got the pause button if we had to stop and perhaps take a sip of water, which I don't do on the program, which we may do at any given moment here, folks, just to be sure we can continue and press on as we need to do to keep everyone entertained here, folks. Because as always, our goal on the main event is to educate, entertain, inform, and enlighten. That's what we do all the time. That's our creed. That's our motto, our mantra. Okay, stop it. We're getting back to the card. Knock it off. Okay, as we said, a trio of matches. This is the third and perhaps final chapter in the series of matches between John Cena and Kevin Owens. Owens has made more of a splash on the company's main roster, in my opinion, since Brock Lesnar. That's the truth. He's been allowed to do more, perhaps, than anyone else, with the exception of maybe Punk when he dropped the pipe bomb in 2011. But Owens has been allowed to sort of come in. They gave him the keys to the kingdom. Guy beats John Cena. First match on WWE's main roster. Is that crazy stuff? Really go back and think about that. And here's the best part about that. He didn't immediately self-destruct as we've seen before. Tensai pinned John on live TV. Remember that? Does anyone remember that? No, because you don't remember Tensai. I mean, you watch Albert on NXT, and God bless him. Good luck in the new stage of his career. All the best to him. Tensai was a horrible gimmick. We all know that. But he pinned Cena on live TV. Carlito pinned John Cena's first match, right? If I'm remembering correctly, got the United States Championship. By the way, are we going to see the United States title change hands at Battleground? This one is for the belt. Because the WWE Battleground, U.S. Champion John Cena and NXT Champion Kevin Owens, they're going head-to-head, man, nose-to-nose, for the third and perhaps final time. This really does remind me of Flair versus Steamboat back in '89. 3 of the best matches you will ever see, and arguably the second match was it Chi-Town Rumble, I believe it was. When Steamboat won with the crossface, with the chicken wing. That was a great match, and in the minds of many people out there, it was the best match of all time. There's been a lot of great matches happen since then. I got a lot of love for Flair and a lot of love for Steamboat. Is it in my top 5? You better believe it. And on any given night, is it my top match of all time? You better believe it. But other matches are always around. Dusty versus Rick, Great American Bash, when Dusty won the championship. Just in terms of all the anticipation of that match, of Dusty finally winning the gold. And it wasn't the first time he won it, of course, but it just seemed to mean so much more. And there's other matches, of course, there in my memory and matches that have occurred since then that I rank pretty high. But Steamboat versus Flair, obviously, no question, I'm a Flair guy, I'm a Steamboat guy. I'm a Jim Crockett guy, always have been, always will be, folks. Best wrestling of all time. Believe that, okay? But yeah, on any given day, my favorite match of all time, Flair versus Steamboat. Of course, absolutely. To me, in my opinion, we're looking at the modern day Flair versus Steamboat. Now, that's high praise, and maybe that's not praise in terms of Owens is Steamboat, Cena is Flair. Let's keep it in perspective. They're 2 totally different workers than what Flair and Ricky were, absolutely. But if you keep it, the idea and the terms and the definitions relative to today's time and today's brand of workers, I honestly think that you're fine with making the comparison, because when was the last time 3 matches meant as much to one company and had as much drama and intensity and excitement and anticipation as Kevin Owens versus John Cena Part 3? I think this one's going to steal the show by far. It'll be the best match on the card, the best work match on the card by far. Intensity by the truckload, and I would be shocked, legit shocked this match did not live up to the expectation and to the hype placed on it not only by fans but by the company as well. I think this is going to be the match to see at Battleground. It's going to be the one that steals the show. It's going to be the one that everyone's talking about the next day, the one they're talking about on Raw, the one you're talking about online, on Twitter, on Facebook, anywhere you can possibly imagine. And I think this will be the third and final match in this series. Now, here's the great part. What did we say from the beginning of this podcast? Uncertainty. There's a T in there. Uncertainty. You know what? It's uncertainty. I don't even care. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't really know how to call this one. It's not a cop-out. It's not me, trying to not be there and be, Johnny on the spot with a prediction what I think's going to happen and try to throw it off on the fact that, it's too unclear. It's not that I want to do that. But honestly, folks, I don't really have any idea how this is going to end up. I mean, who's going to go over? Think about it. Once again, and unto the breach, dear friends, once more. Is that how it goes? That's it. Who you got in this one? I'm sitting there rubbing my hands together. That's it. So here it is. You got Cena, who wins basically all the time, okay? Then you have Owens, who looks really good right now no matter what he does. Neither guy can really afford a loss at this point. You really want to boil it down to the bare essentials. That's what you're talking about here, folks. Neither guy can really afford a loss, okay? Owens won match 1. Cena wins match 2. And it's even Steven, right? So whoever wins match 3 wins the heat, wins the feud. But who do you got? If Owens loses this match, is his momentum dead in the water? I would say that yes, it is. Just me talking. Because not only did he lose the third and final match, the rubber match, not only did he lose it, but he's lost it to John Cena. And when John Cena beats you in the third match, you're done. I'm not saying your career's done. Let's all get a hold of ourselves. There's nothing that tragic. I'm just saying that basically that's it for you. Okay, game over. Stick a fork in you, you're done. Okay? So if John wins, is that the end of it? By the same token, if John loses, what does that say? What is that to be saying if Owens goes over a second time on John Cena? Is John Cena's time still now, or is it coming up soon? Is the clock ticking? We all know the clock's ticking. John's only getting older. We all are, actually. But he's only getting older, folks. So, I mean, really, if you stop and think about it, is it Owens' time? Is it Owens' time to shine? Or are we just all looking at this thing saying, we want Owens to win because John's been there for 10 plus years. 13, I think, total, and over 10 years as a top guy. 10, 11 years, I think, now as a top guy. We just want John to not be in that spot anymore. That we're pulling for Owens. Is that what you're getting? Is that the general consensus among fans out there? Is that, okay, well, we like Owens. We do appreciate and respect what he does in the ring. But we really just want him to go over so that way John's on the way out. Because to me, that's not good enough. Your top guy has to be physically capable, physically, mentally, psychologically capable of carrying the company, okay, of selling all the merch, of being there for fans, of doing everything it takes to carry a company on his back. No one, in my estimation, is believing for a second that Kevin Owens is going to be the next top guy in WWE. No disrespect to Kevin, but that's not how this thing is being set up. Kevin is coming in to make waves. Kevin is coming in to rock the boat, which, he just about tipped the thing over, honestly. And good for him. Good for that company. You want to be surprised. You want people to come in and stir the storm and get things going and do the unexpected. Pro wrestling has become far too mundane, far too predictable. As a guy that analyzes this stuff 24/7, 8 days a week, I mean, there's been plenty of times where I'm like, seen it, know what's going to happen, seen it. Not that I'm hating on the business or anything, or on that company in particular, specifically. It's not that. It's just that once you watch this for, 20 plus years, okay, longer than that, don't talk about how old I am. You're going to hurt my feelings, and, I'm going to go away and sulk in the corner. No one wants that. It's pathetic. But as someone who's watched for 20 plus years and better, of course, it becomes frustrating when I can sit there and predict every single thing I see. So when something out of the ordinary happens, I'm like, bam, that was awesome. You know what I'm saying? I'm like really intrigued by that, and I'm knocked out by it. And that's what I want. I want stuff to happen to me that knocks me out of my shoes, man. I just want to be riveted. I want to watch the programs. I want to watch WWE Network, and I just want to be knocked out by what I see. Okay, honestly, that's what I want. And so that's what we're looking at right now, is the possibility of getting knocked out. Because if Owens wins this match, he's going to knock some people out for sure. It's going to be a punch in the face. Because then you come to the very real possibility, not that Owens is going to become the next guy, but that John's time as the top guy is quickly ticking away. The sun is setting on him. Okay? Which is a great storyline to run in my estimation. They're probably never going to run it, but I'm saying it'd be interesting. Imagine the words interesting and John Cena in the same sentence. Doesn't happen very often, does it? John does what John does. And despite any criticism from me or any other writer online or any fan anywhere in the world, John does what he does. He's very good at what he does. John is able to turn a crowd at a moment's notice. Just when you think the crowd hates his guts, just when you think the crowd can't stand him anymore and they're going to all turn against him, John has a way of turning the words of the guy that he's in the ring with, of taking the promo and reversing it up, switching up just a little bit to make himself appear like, well, the good guy, the protagonist of the feud, okay, as he always is. Most time he is, okay, depending upon who he works in his past. But John has the ability to turn the crowd on a dime. He's extremely good at it. And he's done it with Owens a couple of times, man. He's turned the crowd on Owens. And good for him, Kevin Owens is the heel. Despite how much you want to like him, and that's fine if you do. Despite how much you want to respect him, that's fine if you do. Despite how much you want to appreciate what he's done so far, that's fine if you do. Okay? The fact of the matter is that Kevin Owens is the heel in this storyline, and he should be. He's the guy coming in disrespecting the top babyface. He stomped his boot on the United States title, which is it's just flat out blasphemy for a lot of older guys, I'm sure, who helped make that title what it is. But, you know, to anyone out there who understands the business, and I'm sure to some of the veterans that actually held the United States Championship, listen, you do whatever you have to do to get heat. Okay? Whatever it takes is what you do. A lot of people don't like to hear that because that entails some pretty heinous stuff at times. But you do whatever you have to do to get heat, and Owens is very good at it. Whether it was his decision to do that or they asked him to do it, whatever it is, smart move. He needs to be hated. He needs to be booed. Owens is a great heel. I've written that piece before too, that Kevin Owens will surpass Seth Rollins as WWE's top heel, and I do believe that's the case, man. I believe that Owens definitely has it in him to become WWE's top heel. I truly believe that. And I think this could be part of it. I think that if he beats John, and I mean, I don't think he soundly defeats John. I think it would be a pull of the tights. I think it would be maybe a foreign object, which we haven't seen in a while. I think maybe something. The referee gets distracted, whatever it is. Maybe Owens has a fill in the ropes, cheap heel tactic. We got too many guys who want to be cool heels, in my estimation. We don't have enough guys willing to be the heel, to wear the black hat, okay? And Owens is extremely good at wearing the black hat. He's very, very good at it. So, Owens, an excellent antagonist, an old school heel, a throwback kind of guy, evil, mean, and nasty, okay? He could wear Ole Anderson's t-shirt anytime he wanted to, brother. He could, it's the truth. And talking about old school heels, he reminds me a lot of Ole in terms of the intensity, the ferocity he has, the no-nonsense kind of style. Even though he's more athletic than Ole was, I get a lot of Ole Anderson when I look at Kevin Owens. And honestly, I see some Bam Bam Bigelow when I look at Owens as well. Sort of a nice mix of both guys. And to me, Owens is the right heel at the right time for this day and age. He doesn't care about being the cool heel. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to get over and make you hate him. He says all the right things against John that a lot of other people are saying. But you have to keep in mind also, folks, that John is the top babyface in that company and definitely in this feud. So, I mean, honestly, if you really want to think about it in those terms, Owens is just doing what any good heel that's worth his salt would do in this situation. It's not just about, oh, I had to bag on John because everyone bags on John because it'll get me over. That's not it, man, at all. I mean, Owens is doing his part because Owens is the top heel right now. Is he the top heel? Is he the top heel on the main roster? I'm asking. I don't know. I'm throwing it out there to you guys to debate this. Maybe hit me up with questions after the fact. But what do you think? Is he the top heel right now? I mean, honestly, I have to say that there's entirely possible that he is. Seth is excellent in what he does, and it's no disrespect to Seth. I think he's very, very good, okay? But honestly, I think if Owens had more exposure on TV and you saw Owens as much as you saw Seth, he'd be definitely giving a run for his money at this point, honestly. But I think the time is going to come when the lines between Seth and Kevin Owens is going to be very blurred indeed, okay? So we'll see what happens. But again, I said this so many times, it's crazy. It is in the title of this episode. You understand that, right? Uncertainty. It's the truth. How do you know it's going to go over? It's too hard to call. I don't have one for this one. Honestly, I got nothing. I'd like to tell you I do. I really have nothing for you. I could throw a guess out there. Would it help? I have no clue. I mean, you might be on your own. So much for the pro wrestling analyst at work, right? I can't even come up with a prediction of who's going to win between John Cena and Kevin Owens. That's sad. You're on your own. I got nothing. It's too hard, man. It's too hard. I got nothing, honestly. But all right, you know what? Let's move on. We got one more match that we know of at this point. And again, as we said before, depending on when you choose to listen to this particular podcast, things may have changed since then because honestly, there's a few other guys not on the card right now. Sheamus is not on here. You know he's going to end up on here eventually at some point. Randy Orton. Maybe Randy Orton versus Sheamus is my guess. King Barrett versus R-Truth. Don't laugh at that. I love me some Truth. There's always a possibility that those guys are going to end up on the card, and if they do, good for them, okay? But as of right now, we've covered all the matches that are officially booked for Battleground, with the exception of one, and that's the main event. And you know what it is. It's the aforementioned Seth Rollins defending the WWE World Heavyweight Championship against the Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar. Oh man, you have no idea how much I'm looking forward to this match. This is the one for me I'm looking forward to the most. Owens versus Cena is going to be good. And I think that Roman versus Bray is going to be entertaining. This is going to be the one right here, man. And in terms of, it may not be the best worked match on the card, but I think it's going to be, entertainment factor is going to be through the roof. I think being able to get a laugh out of this match at Seth, I think Seth will physically be trying to get away from Brock, which is hilarious to me. Seth is so good at what he does. There's a reason why he's a top heel. There's a reason why he's a champion. Okay? But there's definitely a reason why he's a top heel, because he's so good. He's so good at being so hated and so reviled, and you just can't stand him. You just want to pitch the guy off a roof. He's hateable. Do you know what I mean? He really is. Talk about old school heels. That's Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins could have been a horseman. I'm serious. Now, I don't know if I would have put Owens as a horseman. I might would have put, Owens under the management of Jim Cornette during the day. But at the same time, I would have put Rollins as a horseman. I think it would have been fine. And to me, again, top heel in the company versus the man that you could say, even though what I said about Cena is true, they want him to be the top babyface in the company. On any given day, Daniel Bryan was. He's not really now because he's no longer around. Who's the top babyface in the company? Can you say Brock is? Can you say that with a straight face? I mean, can you? Can you say he's the top babyface? I mean, I think the argument can be made. He's got the crowd. The crowd loves him, okay? He doesn't necessarily say anything to get over as a babyface, but he doesn't really need to. I mean, honestly, I think he might be it. So in that way, this match is perfect for another good reason, because you've got the two best in the business in what they do separately, clashing, coming together in the main event of a championship pay-per-view. It doesn't get any better than that, right? That's what the business is all about, yes? Can we all agree on that one? But this is going to have everything you could ever hope to see. And Brock's going to do what Brock does. He's going to hit Seth with probably 22 Germans. I'm going to call 22 right now. Just my guess. I'm calling 22, man. That might be, is that a record for him? I don't know. He might have passed 22 a long time ago. Who knows? But to me, I think that Brock's going to do what he does. Seth is definitely going to do what Seth does. He's going to entertain on a very high level. I think he's going to run, but I think the authority is going to be a factor in this match. They're going to help Seth. And I think that that's going to help Seth get the upper hand and probably keep it for a good bit of the match. Notice I didn't say the majority of the match. No one takes the majority of the match over Brock. The Incredible Hulk couldn't take the majority of the match over Brock, okay? Cena couldn't do it. There's no way that Seth is going to do it. Just trying to be realistic here with you folks. To be straight up and to be quite honest with you, I don't see it happening. But I think Seth will get the upper hand during key moments of the match. And perhaps even the most key moment when he pins Brock Lesnar. Now, is that a prediction? Absolutely not. Because again, this is like every other match on the Battleground card to this point. No one really has any idea what's going to happen, least of all yours truly. I'm just being straight with you, man. Being straight up as I can possibly be. Now, does that mean I'm not going to venture a guess? No, I'm not going to leave you hanging this time, man. You know I got mad love for you. You guys are my listeners, right? You're the readers. You're my audience, okay? So, no, I've got a prediction for you. Are you ready? All right. That's hard. I don't think Seth is losing the belt. Okay? Now, with a very motivated Brock Lesnar, a ticked off Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman pulling the strings of the monster, that's a tough thing to beat, dude. It's really tough. But I don't think Seth's had the belt long enough. I think there's more drama in having a heel champion, honestly, because there's more of a possibility of the belt changing hands because you have a whole bunch of baby faces chasing him, and people love the feel-good story. We all know that Vince loves to have a heel as champion, although that through the years he's kind of bent back and forth on that. Every time John has a belt, a heel doesn't have it. You know, despite whatever wacky theories you may hold true that John is secretly a closet heel in disguise, which is a bunch of nonsense if you ask me. It's one of those, do aliens really exist, that kind of thing. All those crazy connections between the Lucas and Spielberg movies the fans have come up with through the years. All that wacky stuff that goes on, whether it's real or not. It's sort of that idea that John he's really like a new wave, a new age heel. Come on, man. Come on. Who you fooling? Not me, baby. Not me. But, I like Seth as champ. I like Seth to win this match. If Brock wins, will it surprise me? Absolutely not. Does that help you at all? Does that make you feel better? Nah, probably not. I didn't think it would. But you can rest assured of this. This match is going to be well worth the price of admission. Honestly, it's going to be really good. And you have to admire Seth, okay? Let's take this a step back, and our time's ticking here. We're almost done. Can you believe that? We just flew through this thing. It's crazy. But you have to admire Seth. Why exactly? You have to appreciate where he came from. Not only that, you have to appreciate what he had to do, what he was asked to do, and what he's managed to accomplish since becoming the top title holder in that company. Okay? He was basically told, okay, here you go. We're going to portray you as the ringleader of the Shield. You're going to join the Authority, and under the guidance of Triple H, you're going to become WWE World Heavyweight Champion, okay? And you're going to do that in a company being led by John Cena, and also that contains Roman Reigns, who we believe is going to be our next top guy, and also Brock Lesnar, who's back in the title picture, or who's actually was champion to begin with, okay? Sting is there. Remember, when all this was happening, okay? Jericho can come back anytime he wants to. So could The Rock. And you have all these possibilities. I'm not saying there's a world of possibilities. Daniel stays hurt. Punk's gone. Edge is long since retired. The possibilities have dwindled quite a bit. But I'm saying The opportunity was there. The moment was right for a guy like Seth Rollins to come in and really make a difference. And he totally did that. Completely did that. You got to hand it to him. He's very believable. He stepped up to the plate. He did it. He was awesome. He's very good at what he does, as we said before. He's getting the job done. He's getting it done and then some. It could be the best possible time for a Seth Rollins as WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Honestly, I don't think there's a better time for it to have happened. But look at what he did. He came from Ring of Honor. Okay, went through NXT, went through the Shield, did everything asked of him, kept his head down, kept fighting. You catching on to a theme here. We talked about Ryback in the past, early in the podcast here, and we've talked about other guys before. Keep your head down, keep yourself fighting, keep yourself motivated, keep doing what the company asks you to do. Try to shine every time you're in the ring. Try to take advantage of every opportunity given to you, and one day you're going to be rewarded for it. You have to believe you are. Not everyone is. Not everyone is. Let's be honest. Okay, there's guys floating around out there who still don't have their chance yet. Honestly, Damian Sandow maybe. Mark Henry's never going to get in the world title run. It looks like to me. Unfortunate. Okay, so there's guys out there that are sort of there that maybe had a shot and then never got another opportunity, or maybe never got a shot to begin with. So it's possible. But I'm saying for the most part, hard work equals reward. Not only just in WWE, but any walk of life. Okay, you would hope. If you put the time in your job and you do a good work and you're there early and you leave late and you do everything asked of you and you're a leader among the guys you work with or the women you work with or whoever it is, you step up, you take charge, and you're the man, then you have to hope that there's reward at you at the end of the day. There's something you're heading toward, a promotion, a pay raise, something great for you. And look at what Seth has accomplished. Daniel Bryan did the same thing, took the same route. CM Punk did the same thing, took the same route. There's reward for hard work. We're talking about guys that performed in Legion Halls and National Guard armories in front of 20 people, and if they got $10 that night for gas, they were doing good. Trust me, folks, I came from that spectrum, from that side of the game. I did. I mean, I spent a few years in the business on that level, on the local independent circuit. I mean, the most people I was in front of was around 500 fans, I believe. And the least amount I was in front of was about 10. Sad. You know what I mean? But you give the same effort every time. You still go out. You still try to entertain with the best of them. You try to make people laugh or make them cry or make them hate you, make them love you. Do everything in your power to make them go home remembering that they were at a pro wrestling show that night. Seriously, that's what it's all about. Give them something to remember, man. Seth did that. He put his time in. He did everything asked of him. He's shining now on the worldwide stage. He is, and he deserves to, honestly. And it's all about putting the hard work in, as we said, reaping the benefits, reaping the rewards. It's exactly what's happening right now. Brock did it, okay? Is Brock in his prime? No. Don't tell Brock Lesnar that. He'll German suplex you. German suplex out of nowhere. I just want to hear someone call that instead of RKO. That'd be nice. But again, folks, Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins is going to be a great match. Going to steal the show in my estimation for the championship. I do believe that Seth walks away with the title. Is that a rock solid guarantee? Can you take it to the bank? Nope. Not from me, you're not. Don't put my name on it. Well, I don't care. Go ahead and put my name on it. I don't care. But I'm not saying it's for sure. I'm saying that I have my gut tells me that Seth's walking away with the title that night. I just think he's done too much work. I think he's come too far. I think there's been too much effort there. Been too much effort on the part of the authority to keep him in power as champion. All that stuff about he's Triple H's boy and all the things that go along with that. All the perks of being a heel under the guidance of Triple H to go along with it. I just think there's too much there for them to take the belt off Rollins at this point. But again, I'm looking forward to this match. Battleground, I think it's going to be a pretty good event. I really do think it's going to be a pretty good event. I'm looking forward to seeing it. This is going to continue sort of a pretty good run so far in 2015 of pay-per-view events for WWE. And 2015 has been a pretty good year for them. They hit their stride. Why does a company have good events like WWE? Why do they continue to have good events? Because they got the right talent in the right places, man. It's all about booking. It's all about booking. It's about getting the right guys in the right places at the right times. Seth Rollins is WWE World Heavyweight Champion in July of 2015 is the right move. It's the right move for that company. It's the right move for him. And in my estimation, to take the belt off him right now would be a mistake. So, I mean, there it is. And again, it's all in the booking. It's all about what works during the moment. What's going to work not only for the fans, but for the company. And honestly, what's going to work in terms of not only selling tickets, but selling merch. And more importantly than all that, bringing you back the next week, man, to watch. Okay? And to me, the smarmy, cocky, overconfident, entitled Seth Rollins, who's hiding with the belt, hiding behind Triple H's suit. To me, that's funny. That's entertaining. I get a kick out of that. I like to see every week how he's going to try to pull out another win. So I think there's drama to be had there. But again, folks, the right booking is what's going to cause this company to continue getting better, to continue entertaining, to continue keeping you coming back for more each and every week, man. That's what it's all about, right? That's just what it's all about. Always has been, always will be. No matter what era you're talking about. Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression, the 80s, back to the golden age of the 50s and 60s. Honestly, I mean, that's what it's all about. The right booking with the right talents at the right time. That's all that matters. And this company, when they're firing on all cylinders, no one can do it any better than they can. And that's the truth. It's some fun stuff, man. It really is. I'm looking forward to it. But then again, I've been a pro wrestling fan since before I could walk, and that's a long time ago, brother. So I like to watch. I can't help it, man. I'm going to be a fan of the day I die, no matter what company it is. I just like pro wrestling on my TV. I can't have enough pro wrestling on my TV, to be honest with you. That's just me talking. All right, folks, that's going to wrap this one up. Man, this hour flew by, didn't it? I had no idea. This is what happens when you talk at 200 miles an hour and cover a whole bunch of matches and a whole bunch of uncertain endings that may or may not go down at Battleground. But I mean, it's cool, man. You know what? And that's what it's all about, right? Keeping you surprised, keeping you guessing, trying to throw you off. I'm cool with that, man. I don't like anything that's too predictable any given time. As I said before. So, I'm cool with the fact there's a lot of endings sort of up in the air. I'm absolutely fine with that. We'll just see how it all plays out. But folks, that does it for me here. This has been episode number 22 of the podcast. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for following me, giving me the time of day as always. I do greatly appreciate it. Please don't forget to follow my work on BleachReport.com as well as the highly esteemed Camel Clutch blog, and check me out on my own blog at tomclarkbr.wix.com/blog. You can also feel free to follow me on Twitter. I'll follow you back, baby. I don't know where that came from. White guy trying to be hip. It's sad, really. Anyway, Twitter at tomclarkbr. Feel free to drop me an email, tomclarkbr@yahoo.com, and I'll be glad to answer any emails you have. If I could pronounce the word email, I'm glad to answer it. Pronouncing the word is harder than answering one, actually. And to be honest with you, I don't like hate mail. Can we just not do hate mail? Can we all just get along, for crying out loud? I'm on Facebook as well. Don't waste your time. It's very boring over there. I'm also on the Pinterest. Don't even know why I bother. I can't really figure out what's going on over there anyway. Tumblr, I'm there as well. Basically, just look for Tom Clark BR, man. That's where you're going to find me online. So hopefully you enjoyed what you heard today. If you did, please come back and listen again very soon. Episode number 23 will be on the way very shortly. I'm trying to churn these babies out as often as I can now. I'm trying to get my, not really get the totals up, but just get myself more motivated and get myself more into the groove of things. It's hard for me. I don't have a lot of time to churn out one podcast episode after another like some of my contemporaries do. But it's cool, man. I do what I can when I can. Hopefully you're getting something out of it. I know I'm having fun. As long as I smile, that's really all that matters. That's a joke. Take it easy. So, all right, man, that's it for me. Thanks again for tuning in. I do appreciate it. And we will see you next time on Tom Clark's Main Event.